Hi guys, welcome back to B's Speed Shop. So this weekend my main aim is focusing on my little repair patches I've got to make for the inner wing. So let's get into it. So what I've done so far is I just cleaned up this edge on the door jamb. There's a section where I had to finish drilling out the spot weld and take the piece of metal off just so I could put this up. So when I make this patch, it's got to come out to this point here. So then what I'll do is I'll drill some holes in this and spot weld it to that bit, and then obviously it folds over here and comes down. I've just drawn a rough line so I know where it needs to come to, and then it needs to fold over this edge as well. So what I'll do is I've just got a piece of card I'm just going to use to make a template in there, and then what I'll do is I'll cut it out. I've got a sheet of metal which I can then trace around the template and cut it out and bend it to match these bends here. So what I'm going to do first, just to make this edge on my piece of card, what I'm going to do is hold it into position as best I can, and just using the edge of my hammer, I'm just going to run it along that edge, just to try and make a crease line there. A bit tricky just there because there's a tight corner. So now that I've got that line marked, I'll just quickly cut along that edge, and then what I'll do is I'll measure down. I'll measure down to make this section, and then I'll measure it again so I know where I need to fold it for these edges. So I've got my little card template made now, and what I did is I just cut these corners out just so I can show you that that will fold over that edge. That'll fold over that edge. Obviously what I can do is I can adjust this when I actually cut it out on metal, so there's a tighter gap there. This one here is actually pretty good. It lines up pretty well. If anything, that needs to be cut a little bit more because it's just overlapping. So I've got my card template just lightly clamped to my sheet of metal, so now I can draw around it and then cut it out. So I'm just going to use my angle grinder just to cut out the rough shape, and I've got a pair of tin snips which I'll use to come in and just do these bits. So I'll quickly get this cut out and then cut those bits, and then I'll see if I can get it to fit. So I've got my little repair piece cut out now. Obviously I just got to grind the edges back, take the burr off that side, and then obviously I just got to bend it so it fits into there. So as you can see at the moment it's just straight, so it needs a little bend just up there, just to make it fit in. So I'll get that cleaned up, try and get it bent into shape, and I can see where I need to, if I need to cut these V bits a bit bigger, so I can then bend the tabs over around this. So I've started to put the bend in on that top bit just there. So when I push this in, you can see that this almost lines up. There's a little bit at the bottom there which I need to grind off, and then a little bit in this section just here I need to grind a little bit off just there, just to make it fit a bit better. But other than that, it seems to be all fitting okay at the moment. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to cut these sections down a bit. So I'll show you from this side. Because I need to cut them down a bit so that when I put the bend in, it'll be sort of here somewhere. So I need to cut it another sort of 5mm or so, just about. So then I'll put the bends in and hopefully they'll sit flush on this edge here. So I've sort of got my bends almost where I need them. So I'm just holding it into place at the moment. So I've started to bend these tabs over around the floor panel. It's a bit dark, I know you can't really see, but where the bends are positioned, they look like they're in place. So what I've done on the bottom corner is I've just ground this corner a little bit because there's a little bit of a weld there which I needed to get round. So that's what I've done for that. So almost there. What I'll do is I'm pretty happy with the shape of this piece at the moment, so I'm just going to leave it as it is for now. I'm just going to come in, clean up a few of these spot welds from last time, just because obviously these bits overlap, so I want to have a nice flat surface for these to sit on. So I'll clean that one up, clean a few up along there. I'll just get it cleaned up, and then what I'll do is I'll come back, test fit it again. If I'm happy with where everything is on that, then I'll finish bending these tabs over. Or actually what I might do is leave the tabs for now. What I'll do is I'll come in, clean all this up, and I'll probably try and tack it along that edge. I'll just put a couple of tacks all the way along with it in position, and then what I'll do is I'll use a hammer and dolly just to finish bending these so I know that they're a tight fit onto this. So what I've done is I've just tapped these bits over a little bit more just to make sure they were going round. I'm quite happy with how they're coming out at the moment. So one of my granddad's neighbours has this hole punch tool. So I've just testing a few out to see how it went. It's pretty easy. It's basically just like an industrial hole punch. So I've done a few holes for the spot welds. So what I'm going to do for now, I might just come back tomorrow and pick this up because it's starting to get a bit late, get a bit dark out. I don't want to make too much noise and upset the neighbours. But I'm pretty happy with how this is going. So what I'll do tomorrow is I'll just come in, make sure there's no burrs or anything on this. Even though I've already done it, I will just double check it. And then I will get it clamped into place about just there somewhere. Put a few tack welds along that seam. And then once I'm happy with that, I'll do a couple of these spot welds along this edge. I won't do all of them. But then what I'll do is I'll finish hammering these tabs over. So what I've done is I just cleaned up here, cleaned up that spot weld as well, just because that's what's going to get covered by those tabs. So then what I'll do is once it's welded, I can hammer these flat against this surface, and then well, before I hammer them flat, I'll put some holes in them, then I'll hammer them flat, and then I can spot weld them. And then that'll be that piece done. So all I've done this morning is just clean up this area, and I sprayed it with a little bit of weldable primer. I also did the same with my repair patch. I just gave that a quick coat of weldable primer. I also put a few more holes in with that hole punch, just to, so that's where the spot welds would be. So what I'll do, I'll get the welder set up in a minute and just put on a few tacks along this edge, and then I'll just give it a double check, make sure I'm still happy with it, and then weld it in. So I've got a few tacks just holding it in place now. So what I can do, I'll do a few more tacks just along this edge, and then what I can do is I can push these edges over so that they're actually flush along this edge, and I'll just do like a couple little tacks just to hold it in place. And then what I'll come back and do is I'll do like a couple of spot welds, and then I'll just sort of do it slowly so I'm not putting too much heat into the panel which might distort it. So I'll just do like a couple at a time, let it cool down, come back, do a couple more. So I'll see if I can set up a little time lapse of just doing a few of the welds. So I've got the majority of this little patch welded in now. The only places I've got left to weld, so I had to drill a couple places and use a nut and bolt just to clamp it together. So I've got one there and one there to do, and I just need to hammer this edge flat a little bit more and then I can weld along there. Other than that, I think it's just a case of grinding back the tops of these welds, and then if there's any pinholes or anything I can then come back and just weld up the pinholes just so it's all welded together. But I'm pretty happy with how everything's gone today. The spot welds have gone really well. The weld along this edge stands a little bit tall, but once I get that ground down I think that will be alright. So I'll quickly give it a little grind and then we'll have another look. So I've got the majority of my welds ground down now. All along this edge it's looking pretty good, and along this bit as well. There's a little bit there where I need to come in and fill in a little bit more of the gap. One there, a little bit there, and then there's a few along this edge which I'll come back and try and fill in at some point. Other than that, it's all looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how everything's gone today. So I just test fit my the outer sill, and that still fits up against this edge. I got to trim a little bit off of this corner though, just to make the edge that goes along here fit tight. So then I can I'll do a load of spot welds all the way along that edge when it comes to time. Other than that, I think it's all going pretty good. I'm going to be leaving this video here for now. I'm really happy with the progress I've made. I've got that little patch all welded in, ground back. There's a few little bits where I need to just come in and fill in, but I can do that another time. So thanks for watching this video.